Good morning. It's December 20th at 9:30, and we are convening the regular meeting of the Lorain County Board of Commissioners. Please rise for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Here.
Commissioner Hung?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Yes, here.
Commissioner Riddell, you
Sorry
threw
about
us
that.
off there.
You'll get it eventually. It's only been 2 years, right?
That's right. I promised before my term ends, I'll have it right.
Oh, I was looking for my readers.
Okay. Under resolutions, number 1, investments,
Move to approve.
Second,
discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
yes.
Commissioner Riddell?
Yeah. Aye.
Number 2, appropriations,
Move to approve.
Second,
discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
yes.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Number 3, transfers,
Move to approve the 9 cents.
Casey, we're
Still waiting
taking,
for, still waiting for a second.
Yeah, I mean, second, we
second.
have questions, Casey. This
Casey,
is a large expenditure.
this is taking transparency way too far.
anything further?
You got nothing?
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Number 4, advances repayments, there were none. Number 5, requisitions, there were none. Number 6, travel, there were none. And number 7, bills, there were none. Number 8, county commissioners may recess an executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, along with any other matters as specifically identified by motion in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 121.22G 1 through 8. Are we going in executive session?
We are not doing
Okay.
executive session.
Move to approve the personnel summary sheet.
We can display that. Does Victor have that, or do you need to do that, Teresa?
No, I have.
That's it.
There we go.
Second.
Second?
Discussion?
Yes, I have a motion for the president to amend the effective date for Matthew Spears, my assistant, to January 1st, 2025, in accordance with my term ending then.
I have a-
I believe the motion died.
You determine whether it dies for lack of a second. That's the president.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the motion dies for lack of a second.
Okay. Teresa.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
That would be a yes with a no on the commissioner's assistant, which would be my assistant, because I believe it should be January 1st, ending with my term.
Is there any public comment on agenda items?
Yes, we have 2 people with us to speak to item number 22. First being Derek Liskin.
Your Honor,
Yes.
can we please reverse that? We'll let Mr. Garza speak.
Oh, sure, okay. Mr. Garza then,
Item number what?
22.
Okay.
Each of a copy.
We'll need 2 more, so.
He knows this is 2 minutes, or is this something else?
Okay, your 2 minutes starts.
We can
I know, we
always
gotta go on.
Yes.
move to
Okay, I didn't know
create
what
an
was going
additional 2 minutes.
I'm the owner of Garza Dirt Works from Clyde. On December 2nd, we had the ditch opening for the Kellner Ditch Restoration Project that was held. There was 5 bidders, 4 being responsive. one open and read unresponsive per the bid opening on that day. As we sit right now on item 22, Mark's Construction is tentatively the low bidder that is unresponsive. Based on the addendum that came out on November 21st that was not acknowledged by them as the bid, their bid was read unresponsive. This had major impacts and implications to the work schedule. It immediately, on November 21st, affected 40% of the time allocated to perform this project, 108 days in 2025 and 108 days in 2026 of the 540 days allocated for the year-and-a-half project. It drastically changed the scope of the work. It changed the amount, the manpower, the labor, how this job has to perform. Per the ditch specifications that we all bid by and live by, on section 8 here, it says specifications. The construction specifications shall be the US 2023 ODOT construction material specifications, including the supplemental specifications and standard drawings and details. In case of conflict, most stringent shall apply. Inside that pamphlet there, on page page 6, I've included a copy of the State of Ohio ODOT specifications, referencing how we move dirt and place stone, rock, pipe. All aspects of the job is covered per the ODOT specs, even down to the detail how the jobs are bid out. On page 4 of that ODOT spec sheet, it calls out the disqualification of bidders. I referenced you to 102.14 disqualification of bidders. There's 2 points I'll make note here. The E is an echo. The proposal is not prepared as specified based on the addendum. And over on the last page, page 22, O as an Oscar, bidder fails to acknowledge the addendum. Based on our specs and what we bid by, the bidder should remain unresponsive, because it says disqualification bidders, department will declare a bidder non-responsive and ineligible for award when any of the following occur. I have made 2 points per the ODOT spec sheet that our drawings and our bid is put out by. And based on the addendum that came out that we had to sign, acknowledge, it says that the bidder shall acknowledge receipt of this addendum by signature of authorized representative, return the bid with the proposal on December 2nd, the bid opening. Of all the 5 bidders there, 4 was responsive. 4 of us had all the required documentation to do this job, and 1 bidder didn't. The 1 bidder that was low did not have that addendum, did not acknowledge it. It swung the bid. It gave them an unfair advantage in the bidding process, because if we could do this project without the addendum that came out on November 22nd, which impacted the aquatic species and impacted the Indiana bat, it would allow this process to go straight forward
Can
without.
you hold 1 second?
Oh, sorry.
Mr. President, I
Yes.
would move to grant this speaker an additional 2 minutes to
We
speak. 'cause
we
he's
already have.
here.
We've already
Okay,
had.
okay.
Sorry, I apologize.
Oh, you're fine.
So,
make sure.
this addendum changed the whole aspect, because this job, before the addendum came out, what you could have went start to finish and never stopped, logistically have been fine. But on November 21st, as the addendum came out, it changed the whole bid. It was 11 days prior to the day of the bid. You had time to go out and look at it. It changed 40% of how the work was to be performed of the allocated days. It impacted, because of the amount of, there's 150 plus log jams, silt dam removals, 4 in-water crossings. It's all water work related. It completely changed the whole aspect, and 4 of the 5 of us acknowledged that. We based our bid on that fact, and that's, and in fairness to how things are done, both past, present, and going forward, we have rules that we go by, we follow, and I know there's on the agenda that you have been presented. I'm not sure in the department if what you were presented with is based on not knowing who were presented. Marks is not knowledgeable of everything, or that they're trying to circumvent the system. But I'm asking to remain fair in the way that this bid is looked at, and the opening that we choose a responsive bidder that met all of the obligations and regulations per the bid contract.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And you did very well.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Get it under the 4 minutes?
No, he wasn't quite under 4 minutes,
But
but
I took 30 seconds
we
of his time.
we have a
there
full
go.
grasp of your argument. I can just tell you, I come from the world you're still in.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Council wants to speak?
I just felt like I had to breathe for you. You were going so good. I was starting to hyperventilate.
Nobody
you-
can't claim that you're not passionate about your work.
Correct. And I
Thank
love,
you.
and I
And you
do.
did word that very well,
And I do love
very well.
and I do love the passion about ditches, trust me. It's like.
Wish some of the residents had the same
Yeah,
passion.
exactly, yeah.
Good morning. My name is
morning.
Attorney Derek Liska. I represent Garza Dirt Works. I'm the legal side of his argument. From the bid application, the agreement proposal contract of bond submitted by Lorain County for the award of the contract. Award of the contract, if any, will be the lowest responsible bidder whose proposal complies with all requirements. And if you look at the county Laurel Bay TIF tabulation sheet that was put out, you had 4 bids that complied with all requirements and 1 that did not. And if you look, there's some, we can discuss the ODOT regulations, if it actually controls this board or not. That's a legal question that could be disputed. But I'll tell you what ODOT is, it's best practices. It's best practice for the public, but out by the state, because it's transparent and it's fair. And when you accept irregularities to the extent of this, you invite legal challenge. Now, the board has a difficult job to monitor and make decisions for the best interest of the public with finances involved. Don't dispute that. And in fact, the board has a lot of authority to overlook some things. But I would like to cite a case for this board, and that would be William Bennett versus Goethe out of the 8th District, Cuyahoga County Appeals. Injunctive relief is the appropriate response for a bidder who thinks that they have been put through an unfair parameter, unfair in the bidding process. The board has a lot of leeway, except when that bidding process has been violated in a way that affects the amount of the bids. So when you increase or decrease the work time of 502 days by 40%, that affects the bidding price. And what you've done, if you allow an unresponsive bidder who has not acknowledged that addendum to bid, while everybody else has looked at that addendum and equated that in, you have created an unfair bidding practice for those other bidders, because they have increased their bidding price based on the reduction of time. Now, my client's bid would be different without that addendum. And then he may be fighting the other argument, saying, well, I will still accept this bid, but his bid would have been lower than the bid that you're accepting today. Possibly. It affected his price. And so that's why you have these transparent rules. We don't consider the unresponsive bidders, because we create these issues of transparency and issues of trust and issues of now the courts may have to get involved because we've affected the pricing on it. I would ask this court, or this council, to reject number 22. If you're not willing to move forward with the next lowest responsive bidding, at least reopen this up so that we can have a transparency on the election of this bid. This is a large bid of $1.4 million on a project that's estimated over $2 million, $100,000 by your engineer. And I do have a question. Was there a recommendation from the engineer as to which bid to use in this?
That would have come through stormwater.
Okay.
Stormwater is actually the host of this bid.
Okay. That's all I have to point out. That there is case law on this, and while you do have a lot of authority to make things work, when that irregularity affects bidding process and how much money people submit, that's when then injunction relief does become a appropriate relief.
Okay, very
Thank you.
good. Thank you.
Thank you.
And for the record, thank you, because that's the reason we hold the public comment ahead of the agenda items, that if someone has been watching the agenda and there's an issue, it allows them to give us that information before we actually process the item on the agenda. So
So we'll be bringing these questions up at the time.
I'm sure when we get to number 22, we will do that, and I don't know if it'll be necessary, but if we do, that also allows us to come back and ask you questions at that time. So
We appreciate your time, and we understand your.
No, we appreciate you coming in and.
you're paying for our time, don't worry
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Was that the only 2 items?
That's the only
Those are the only
Is there
two.
any old business?
Oh, you signed up?
Yes, sir.
Where? Oh,
No, I filled out a sheet.
I'm sorry.
I have it on both places to speak.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian
Good morning,
Baker,
Brian.
49822 Greystone. I'd like to talk on items, I think it's 17 and 18. That would be the budget, correct? I don't think we say that's the budget, but a couple questions before you vote on it. Could someone tell me what the balance of our general treasury for the county is today? Before, at least so the public knows what we have in our general treasury for the county before we would appropriate anything? Or we would approve a budget? The second question is, in 2024, do we deficit spend in any way? And why I ask that is if we didn't have the $6.6 million in ARPA funds, would we have deficit spend? My third question would be is, in 2025, if we don't have the 9.2 million where we were able to amortize back over from ARPA, and if we don't take enough revenue in of the 79 million without that, do we have enough money in the general treasury to cover all of our expenses? And also, in 2026, will there be any leftover ARPA funds be allocated at that time, or will they all be spent by the end of 2025? The last one, I was looking on the paper that you sent me, and thank you very much with all the breakout. Is there anywhere a line item in here that would show, like, so we currently have a couple lawsuits out there, correct? We have a CCI one that's for about $7.7 million. Wouldn't that be, I think that's about what it is on the case. If that gets settled and not covered by the insurance, what line item does that come out of where Casey's paper that he put together? The other one I would ask is have we had to take any of our CDs early this year where we had to pay penalties? Because I think last week there was like a $100,000 early withdrawal on something that we approved. So that means we don't have enough liquid assets. So that means we're spending more money than we are out of revenue. And I just see it. I don't know what they are, and that's why I'm asking the question, is because if you had to take a CD in, because, I mean, like, what kind of cash do we have on hand right today? And I think I know the number because I know how to go get that, okay? You probably don't even have enough to make payroll right now with what's in here right now. Well, I'm just asking. I mean, before you do anything on a budget, you sure should know answers to most of these questions. So after you vote on it, I'll probably come up at the end on the budget because I did sign up under the next section too, okay?
I will try and address your questions when we get to that
All right.
item on the agenda.
All right, thank you very much for your time.
That's it. Okay. Was there any old business?
He's still coming back.
Yeah.
There we go. Who's that?
No old business?
No old business.
Board business, number 9, approve and waive the reading of the county commissioners meeting minutes of December 17th.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
10, supporting the Ohio Commission for the United States Sesquicentennial American 250 Ohio and established Lorain County Commission. This was created by the Ohio General Assembly and governed by Ohio Revised Code 149.309 to plan, encourage, develop, and coordinate the commemoration of the 250th anniversary of the United States and Ohio's intricate role in that event and the role of its people on the nation's past, present, and future.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion.
So you looking to step up again?
If the board would like me to, I will.
Okay, Jeff, we should put that on our work plan for 25. Obviously, we're a little far out front of it, but we should figure out at least who the point of contact is, and we should develop a process that says what level of support and what types of support, are we gonna be asked for, so.
Anything further?
We will be looking for board members. So.
Yeah,
The county has to appoint 1 to 2.
Oh, really? Also, this is gonna be other,
And then we go with the state, with all
Okay.
the other counties.
Okay.
Right.
And that's your point in contact through the state for the
Okay.
United
Yeah.
States. And I have asked the clerks in the other counties to see what they are planning. And a lot of them are planning stuff with the metro parks and things like that to do big events
okay.
to get more people involved, so.
There's a lot of people with a lot of experience from last year.
so did
this
you hear
year-
that, Jeff?
So,
Well, Teresa was explaining that we have a member or two that we appoint to the state committee, and that's our contact with the state, and then we should build our own committee here as to how to execute and so forth on what it is we're doing.
I think, Teresa, you had a conversation with the other committee, didn't you?
If the board would like that, yes, I will.
Also, you have a volunteer.
Well, no,
You picked that up, did you?
I picked it up.
yes.
Yeah, you read my email.
I took that as I'd be willing to negotiate.
Well, the question is, should we, the board correspondence, if you don't put it on the board?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true.
No, we'll work on it.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, we will.
Call the vote.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Number 11, establish limits for blanket purchase orders from, it should be 1,000 to 5,000, and super blanket orders, purchases for over 5,000, in accordance with the Auditor of State's office.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Number 12, adjust the salaries of Lorain Municipal Court employees, which reflects the county's 2/5 share. Judge Thomas Elwell Jr., Administrative Judge, new biweekly rate is $973.08, effective January 1st of '25. Judge Mark Mihawk, Presiding Judge, new biweekly rate is $950, effective January 1st of '25. Bianca Villar, Bailiff, new weekly rate is $1,221.46, effective January 1st of '25, and $1,343.61, effective February 1st of '25. Peter Torres, bailiff, new biweekly rate is $1,163.74, effective January 1st of '25, and $1,179.45, effective February 1st of '25. Bianca Villar, bailiff, will also receive a vacation payout of $851.50, as well as a compensation payout of $61.29, and Peter Torres will receive a compensation payout of $1,328.79.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, for the record, these are all established by the city of Lorain, but the county has a statutory obligation to pay for 2/5 of whatever Lorain decides that it's paying. So I personally am not aware of what the payouts are all about, but, you know, that's been presented by the city of Lorain, and that's their compensation program.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
13, entering a service agreement with TRUSAC to provide 2024 ACA reporting, filing, and 1095 distribution services to Lorain County employees.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
14, approve and enter an agreement and business associate addendum with Delta Dental to provide dental services to Lorain County Healthcare Plan, effective January 1st of '25 through December 31st of '27.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
15, renew Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield Vision Services through Blue View Vision for Lorain County Vision Services, effective January 1st of '25 through December 31st of '27.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
16, enter in agreements with various entities to participate in Lorain County Healthcare Plan and/or life insurance services under the county's joint self-insurance healthcare benefits program, effective January 1st of '25 through December 31st of '27.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
17, amending Resolution 24766 on December 17th of '24, using American Rescue Funds Act funds to replace lost revenue in Lorain County General Fund due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Said amendment is to reflect a not-to-exceed amount of $11,715,517.55.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Okay. Casey, you're up.
I think the Y, we're just
Okay.
amending it.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I was making notes from Mr. Baker's comment. Number 17, is that where we're on?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. All right, so this is just a kind of follow-up from the item that that you guys had considered and passed on Tuesday. Again, this is just out of abundance of complete caution, just to make sure that we have a fallback should any of the ARPA dollars that are currently out there and committed, should they, for whatever reason, go have to be unspent or whatever. So we had the resolution you guys passed on Tuesday was to the penny exactly the funds that were available. This sets the not to exceed number at 11.7 because that is based on the calculation that Mr. Petticourt had addressed on Tuesday. Based on the calculation with ARPA, that is the maximum amount that Lorain County would be available to bring back in general fund revenue loss. So again, this is just out of an abundance of caution, because like I said, I know how you guys feel about having to send money back to whether the states or the Fed. So we want to try to avoid that at all costs. So this is, again, just kind of a safety net for us to make sure we can keep these funds local and keep them in-house.
Very good. Yeah, as I understand it, the 11 million is by statute the maximum we could pull back in. We're not saying we're gonna have that much, but
I don't anticipate
this is our
that.
last meeting of the year, and if by chance somebody doesn't spend their money, we need to bring it back to the general fund in order to retain it for local purposes as opposed to sending it back.
Exactly right, yep.
Okay. Very good. And I would also like to add that the ARPA, that the 11 million, we referenced the 8 million from last time, and it's probably an oversimplification, but to answer an earlier question, none of that money is reflected in the appropriations that are going to be dealt with later today. A nice clean way to look at that 9 million that we've pulled back so far is that's the second half of the Marks Tower program for 25 at about 6-point-some million. And we've got about 3 million in ditches that we couldn't get contracted in time, so we've pulled that back. Both of those are capital projects and not reflected in the annual operating appropriations that we put on for Tuesday and that we'll be processing later today. So the answer is none of that comes back to fund anything that's on our appropriations list today. That comes back to fund capital projects that are laying out there.
Anything further? Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Dell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
18, approve the 2025 special revenue annual appropriation.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion?
Do we want to show the chart?
Yes.
This, you guys are considering the special revenue right now, so these are all the
Oh, this is
levy
special?
fund-
Oh, this
yeah,
is a
this-
special
the
revenue?
that's
Okay.
correct, yeah.
Sorry, Vic, that's for the next one.
Nothing on special revenue? Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Dell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Number 19, approve the 2025 general fund annual appropriation.
So
Okay.
moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Okay, try it again, Victor.
Now, Victor, the pie chart. There we go. And we can get copies for anybody that would like to have that. But this shows the general fund resources to fund the appropriations that we will be dealing with in item number 22.
19.
Well, this is the general fund total.
Right.
But it shows where the resources are from that are funding what we're going to spend in item number 22.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay? So, thank you, Casey, for this pictorial. They say that we're becoming much more of a video and
Visual.
in terms of dealing with things. But this shows where the revenue comes from, and I think the part that the taxpayers, those watching, as well as those that have an interest, you'll see the county sales tax is not the full budget. So we're not doing $80 million a year in sales tax and real estate taxes, but there's a tremendous amount of other revenue that comes in from interest on our investments, which is up this year, which has helped us. We thought we would have a more difficult time with the department requests than we did. But the auditor, or the treasurer, has done a terrific job of adjusting the investments to take advantage of the rising interest rates. So if you have a mortgage, you don't like the rising interest rates, but if you're the one with cash in the bank, you sure do like the higher interest rate. And so you'll see the real estate taxes there in the yellow, and you'll see that the county does have a fee structure. There are things that individuals using services pay for fees. That's everything from dog licenses to, transfer fees for automobiles and so forth. And then we see the state share of local revenue. So those are the major components. So for those that wonder where all the money comes from, that's where the money comes from.
And that's just for the general fund. We take in a lot more money than that with our,
This does not include grants and programming for special projects, capital projects, ARPA in the past few years. Those kinds of things are outside it. This chart just shows the ordinary annual revenue that comes to the county.
which we use for the operations of the county. So you're looking at where there's excess funds and everything else that goes through Job and Family Services and such. There's an investment advisory committee that the 3 commissioners, the treasurer, and the clerk of courts are on. And those meetings are where we discuss the investment strategies so that the treasurer we all vote on that, and how to take certain higher interest rate bonds and investments. Usually the average at one time was a lot because of the ARPA funding that we were getting. I think right now, Casey, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know, like 285 to 300 million, would you say? Roughly? I mean, I can't remember.
I was gonna say 250 million there,
Yeah, but I thought it was
thereabouts,
285
yeah.
when we last, but usually what happens is we get an influx of cash always around tax time. And so when the property taxes are due, that's when we usually get our influx of cash.
And to your point,
Yeah.
Treasurer Tularic does a great job of making sure that we stay liquid. As you mentioned, we have the county treasury has that 280 million. Some of that is locked away, some short-term, long-term investments. But he does an excellent job, and I believe he says he's on there daily watching our cash balance to make sure that we have the cash on hand to cover bills, and then also some of his other investment strategies, even the money that's invested in the Star Ohio, that is very liquid cash that we're able to pull down should the need arise. So, yeah, he does an excellent job of managing that for us.
And the best part about that pie chart, I'll put it back up, is the casino revenue that we're getting because we're adjacent to Cleveland. That's quite a bit of money that we're getting in. But to let the public be aware, there's a lot they talked about it 25 years ago, and Cuyahoga County doesn't stop talking about regionalism. And when they start talking about regionalism, it may sound like great partnerships, but when they start talking about regionalism for the Brown Stadium, they start talking about regionalism for transportation. My personal opinion means regionalism means they want our tax dollars so they can spend it too. So just to be aware, there's going to be a lot of talk this year about regionalism. My position is going to be regionalism means we're going to lose a little bit more control, which I will be fighting against. I like the fact that we happen to be adjacent to the Cuyahoga County. We do get a lot of benefits through NOACA. You'll see a lot of work in 2025, and this has been going on years prior to 4 years ago that they started working on Route 2. Hopefully we'll see that this summer. That will go, but that's, again, federal dollars that are coming in to our county. And so there's a lot of great partnerships, but be careful that word regionalism when you hear it. So we are getting a lot of benefits for being adjacent. But unfortunately, we couldn't convince the owners to bring the Brown Stadium here, so we tried. But that's the talk right now.
So, and the only other item, since that number came out, the 250 million, that's the cash on hand. I think the question was asked, is the county liquid? Can we make payroll? And the answer is, I'm pretty sure we can make payroll.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of people, but 250 million sounds like a pretty satisfactory number. But that number is the actual, that would be, if you were at home, the appropriations would be where you want to spend your money. And what the 250 we're talking about is the cash in the checkbook, okay? And that 250 includes the 9 million of ARPA funds. It includes money that's committed but not yet spent. So don't think that that we have 250 million that we don't know what to do with. It's just the cash on hand because money comes in different cycles, then it goes out.
And just to clarify, that 250 million is the county as a whole. It's the treasury as a whole. So that includes the special revenues and the general fund and
Right.
everybody. Correct.
Yeah, special revenues, there are departments like the auditor and the sheriff, prosecutor, they all have.
Children's Services, Job and
Children's Services,
Family.
they all
Job and
have
Family.
special revenue funds that have nothing to do with our general fund. But that cash is everybody's cash, and the treasurer's job is to invest it for everybody. Thank you, Teresa.
Okay, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
911-20, approve and authorize agreements with various communities in Lorain County for E911 to provide centralized dispatch services to law enforcement, fire, and EMS at no cost to the counties for the cities of Lorain, North Ridgeville, Sheffield Lake, the Sheriff's Office, Lorain County Metro Parks, and villages of South Amherst, Grafton, LaGrange, and Gibson.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion.
Yes. Rob, would you like to speak to that? Or should I say, would you speak to that?
Is this on?
Yeah, it's on.
This process started back in the spring when we realized that the agreements that we had with our various agencies, which are the villages, the cities, the departments for fire, EMS, and law enforcement, what we were working off was MOUs, which is basically memorandums of understanding, which were signed by the various chiefs, and we decided that that wasn't appropriate because chiefs don't have a signature authority to be enforceable with the different challenges. And we worked with the prosecutor's office, Mr. Petticourt, and Lee Prue, and we came up with a new agreement that would be enforceable for all the agencies that we provide services to, either through direct dispatch or through our CAD system, which is the New World software stuff, what they all use, or most of them use. So we got this done, and then we decided that we shouldn't send it out until we actually have our protocols updated, which we have finished those too. So then we started sending them out, and I was made aware that we have not passed a resolution yet adopting these agreements. So that's what we're doing today, is we're actually asking the commissioners to adopt the agreements so we can then have them signed by the villages and the cities and the townships.
Thank you. I would add to that to those that follow 911 or to follow our meeting, 911 is fully funded through the grace of the taxpayers on the last additional levy. So the 911 system is fully funded. It's up to date on its protocols. This has been about a 15-month project of 911 and our administrative team, and we are now prepared to take in any community in Lorain County that would like to have us do the dispatch. It's funded by the county levy, so there would be no charge to the cities or villages that sign up to have their services funded by 911. So, call the vote.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Under Stormwater Management, 21, receive and set view and hearing for Foster Ditch, LaGrange Township, to install a self-forming channel ditch through the farm fields and remove built-up of sediment and obstructions along the entire length of the ditch, restoring flow and reducing flooding along the ditch and its drainage area from the culvert under Whitney Road, and provide an easement to allow permanent maintenance under Ohio Revised Code 6131. The pre-recorded drone viewing will be March 4th at 4:30, and April 1st at 4:30 will be the ditch hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion.
What, Case, when they gonna do the drone viewing? Are they, not viewing, but the actual recording of it? Do you know what time of the year they're gonna do it?
If it hasn't been done, it will be done shortly. We sent out notification letters to the landholders. This is the best time to do it with no leaves on the trees.
Yeah, I mean, with what's going on, I'd hate to see them start shooting these drones down from the sky. So, okay.
We did send out
See, as long as you send out
notification to
letters
let them
and tell
know.
the drones are for the ditches and nothing else, that would be nice, so. Okay, thanks.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Number 22, award contract to Marks Construction, Valley City, Ohio, in the amount not to exceed $1,427,973.88 for the Kellner Ditch Restoration Drainage Improvement Project. 5 bids were received, this being the most responsive, complying with specifications, and will be paid from the stormwater account.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion.
Yeah, I think so.
Now, for those of you here, that puts it on the floor now.
Okay.
Okay, that's not an approval of the item, that puts it on the floor for discussion. So,
which I have a feeling we're gonna be talking
I
about.
have a feeling that Mr. Romancic has something to say.
Good morning, Board.
morning.
For the legislation before you, much of the public comment, actually, I wouldn't say any of it was incorrect, but what I want to do is kind of lay out what our process was and how we came to you today with the legislation. So, after the bid opening, we, purchasing and stormwater, sent the notification to the prosecutor's office for them to begin reviewing it because we were aware that the apparent low bidder did not submit a full bid. We also forwarded all of the bids to the engineer, the consulting engineer that put it together. We received a recommendation of them reviewing the bids. We forwarded that back onto the county prosecutor as well. And there were internal conversations with the administration to just begin to flesh all of this out so that we would have as much information available as possible. We then were able, after conversations from the consulting engineer and the county prosecutor's office, put together the legislation before you. In general, the reasoning behind it was there was a submission of the acknowledgement of the addendum from Mark's Construction after the fact, so it was late, not trying to obstruct that. There was no change in price for that, and it was thought that with taxpayer, ratepayer dollars, this was a significant amount of money, and that the error or omission was not necessarily significant enough to just throw the bid out. Now, ultimately, in all of the conversations that were had, the board has a great amount of authority in this, and that's about as far as I would wander into the legal side of this. And so with that, these are, the process we went through to get you here
I think
today.
that qualifies as a Hail Mary.
Yeah, okay, so, Lee Prue in our office obviously worked with Don on this. She does the contracting. Effectively, the case law is that when the board determines that there was an error, like it was acknowledged occurred here, if the board has confidence that compliance with the bid specs, that the bidder intends to comply with all of the bid specs, and that the bid will not change because of the error, the error that was made, the board has the authority to accept the bid as is. So that's certainly a defensible decision. It would also be a defensible decision to wipe it and rebid. That I think without getting too deep in the weeds here, my belief is those are the two most reasonable decisions to look at, right?
Well, there is a third though, correct?
Right, to throw out the bid.
You could declare the one bid
Correct, non-compliant.
non-compliant and
You
go
could.
with the first compliant bid.
You could, that's always, if you decide it's, any of those three will work. I think to Don, my understanding from what Don said and what I understand from Lee is that I think the recommendation would be to if you're not gonna accept the bid, to rebid. I think that's the recommendation because of
Is that
the
fair?
change.
Now everybody knows what
Every-
they're doing.
I don't know,
All the numbers are out on the
that's
table.
for you guys and for Don to figure
Yeah.
out, that's my understanding.
That don't sound fair to me.
Okay,
If I may provide a recommendation,
Okay.
is if the board is not comfortable with the cure that was provided by the lowest bidder and that you feel that it's unfair, which is in your purview,
Yeah,
that's
your
your
discretion,
job, to then throw out that as non-responsive, and I would recommend you go with the next fully responsive bidder. We are familiar with both contractors. They have both done work for the county. It's been solid work, acceptable work. There's been no reason to withhold awarding a contract to either because of performance. And so this has been a difficult decision. And again, I gave you, or a recommendation, and I just kind of gave you the process that we went with and with the dollars involved.
Well, your original recommendation would be to award to Marks, that you had it put on the agenda, correct?
Correct. And that was based
Okay.
upon reviewing what came in from the engineer, the conversations with legal, and conversations with the administration to at least present this here. The biggest thing I was looking for today is a decision. To
decision.
move, a decision to award, ideally. Again, I'm trying to move these projects forward as quickly as possible.
I agree.
And no matter what name was gonna be on that resolution, there was gonna be someone mightily disappointed, upset, and I'm sure in the stand.
Mr. President?
Yes.
In all fairness to you, Don, so just so we're hearing you correctly, you can't you sent that to the board to be put on the agenda. You can't necessarily make that decision to take somebody off, so you're saying, board, this is the information I'm giving you, you make the decision.
Not entirely inaccurate, but
Yes, the answer, Michelle, is yes. It's your call. He says what he thinks. Lee says that you got that any of the decisions you make are reasonable given the circumstances that are here.
Yes.
So it's the board's
But
decision.
technically, Commissioner, we have a recommendation from Stormwater to take the Marks bid, and that's why they put it on here.
correct.
Okay, and in all defense, this issue was raised at a previous meeting, and it went through the process with the consultant for engineering as well as through the prosecutor's office for the legal side.
Correct.
But just this one, or did all the bids go through that same process?
None of the other bids were required to go through the same
We
level
don't
of
do that
scrutiny.
unless there's a problem. That doesn't,
Right.
Sounds like there's a problem.
which is why the bid came to us,
I know,
right?
okay.
Yeah, but it
Oh,
doesn't,
okay.
the
One bid-
regular bidding process doesn't
Yeah.
come
One
like
bid
that.
was
Okay.
missing
Okay.
the acknowledgement of the addendum. The other bids were all completely compliant. Okay, but the low bid was
Okay.
defective, is the term that we used. And so,
I'm
I
hearing
guess
a-
the decision was to see if it was material, and what the stormwater's telling us is there's about a little bit less than $100,000 worth of difference, and for $100,000, I assume, once the bids were open, can you tell me how did it proceed after that? Did you contact Marks, or did they come forward with the addendum? I'm just curious.
If I recall correctly, it would have been purchasing that had reached out to let them know that the addendum was missing.
Okay,
And then I did get correspondence from our consulting engineer and from purchasing that the addendum was, the acknowledgement of the addendum was submitted, and there would be no change. There was no change in cost or time.
So the other four are fine.
The other four were
And I
fine.
keep
We
hearing all
didn't
this
need to.
negativity on the one that wasn't done right.
Correct.
And now we're gonna go with the one that didn't do right. That's what you're asking us to vote on today.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanna make sure it's simple, okay? That's what you're asking. I mean, basically, it sounds like to me, this one wasn't done right, it was lower, so can we do it anyway, right? I'm simplifying it, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just trying to
But-
simplify
Right.
it, so, okay.
any other questions from the board?
Well, if we don't wish to move forward with this one, what's the next step? I just wanna know our options. You said here's our options.
Your option, the three options are, as long as there's an acknowledgement from Garza that they would be fully compliant and that it wouldn't change the price, it's within your purview to accept it.
That would have been Mark's, not.
Mark.
I'm sorry, Marks. That it's within your
So we all
purview.
looked at you.
I know,
Yeah.
like-
Garza's already done that, right?
Yeah.
So you could accept it if you choose to. You could say it's not compliant if you choose to. Both of those things, in my opinion, result in a bid protest, right? Or you could wipe it clean and rebid it. Those are your three options.
Oh,
So any of those three, you just take a vote, and any of those three things are within your purview of doing.
we keep talking about this ditch Kellner for a while.
Yeah, Calvin's been on the plate for a long. It's a big.
It's been here
he's
since
he's,
I
he's
got
not
here.
wrong. It's a very big project,
Yeah.
and I think you want to do it right.
How
right?
long would a rebid take?
Yeah,
As the county administrator said, probably at least 60 days.
yeah. Are we in danger of funding problems? Just out of curiosity.
No, that we are not, but The one thing that I would caution the board is we did do a bid opening, so a lot of numbers have been exposed.
Yeah.
That's the thing, you know?
And the-
To
and
me,
the
that's the
Indiana
least
bat.
desirable
Yeah.
alternative.
Oh, okay, well,
Yeah. And if you want, on the bid opening, I think council might have, because I know we spoke, Mr. Gard and I spoke a little bit with Commissioner Hung when this came up. There's some timing issues here too that you should be aware of.
that's what I'm worried about too.
Right.
It's like, you know,
Yeah.
Let the lawyer go for a minute, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why this.
He's gonna come up here.
You
It's
gotta,
okay.
you gotta come up
Can you
here.
give him a microphone and go up there?
she can't hear you.
I can hear, but I just wanna make sure
And I
that.
have a very similar read on this with just one distinction, in that you do have the right to review this and accept when it's in this process, except if it created an unfair bidding advantage. And there's no way I think you can sit here and say that, oh, I wasn't aware of that addendum that removed 40% of my job time and put these massive blocks of time where I can't do this work, and say that has no inflection in price. So if you proceed with option one, grant that with marks. That's what you're arguing, is that this 40% reduction in time on a 500-day project had no bearing on price, and that's what you'd have to defend to a judge. I don't see how that's reasonable. That's my legal opinion. That's where me and the prosecutor would differ, and that's what in essence, that's what our argument would be.
That's the bid
That would be our
process.
argument.
Yeah.
That would be what we'd have to convince one way or the other.
Okay.
I don't think Mark has an argument to challenge his bid.
Thank
Not
you.
a viable one.
Well, let's not speak for parties that aren't present.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
But that's what it comes down to, and there are timing issues here because it starts in March where this period of time, I believe, till June is when there can be no in-water dredging that happens. And that happens 2 times a year, or 2 times within the plan and scope of this project. So I do know that moving forward, sooner rather than later, is preferable, because at least you'd have 2 months of in-water dredging before that time comes in. From my client's perspective, he would much rather rebid than not be rewarded. But my client is
Obviously.
the lowest responding, that met all the requirements, that meets best practices.
Obviously. Thank you. Any other questions from the commission?
Do you want to add anything, Don?
No? Okay.
So I take it they're the second in line.
I would like to weigh in, because this is an area and a world that I come from. And before I, take official action, I want to share my perspective. And number one is that, bid specs are the way they are for a reason. You need to follow them, you need to sign them, you need to make sure all your pieces, parts are in. I personally, so you avoid the argument, it's nice to say that somebody sent it in later after they already know that they're the low bidder. Now they're faced with a decision. Do I take this bid that maybe I had the restriction in mind, maybe I didn't, but I have a job. If I don't blow it, I have a job. And I think that puts at an unfair advantage that it sounds an awful lot like a system where I'm gonna bid it and I'm gonna have a flaw in it. And, maybe then I don't have to execute if I don't like my price. It violates all the covenants of one shot at the apple. Okay? And so at the end of the day, I have a hard time, even though there's $100,000, okay? And that's certainly a sizable amount of money. But I believe you have to go with the low bidder that did everything right over the low bidder that did something and then came back and cured it, okay? Because the motivation for the cure is unknown, okay? And most of the places that I've experienced in the legal world and in the government world where we do a cure, the cure is, the beneficiary of the cure is you, and there's no negative impact to anybody else. If you register to vote and you miss something, they give you time to go back and cure your registration so you can vote. But it doesn't impact the other voters. So the whole concept of a cure applies in a very narrow and concept to where it affects you and whatever it is you're doing and not what others are doing. And out of deference to the bidders, I would assume that they're all good bidders, or we wouldn't have let them have drawings and turn in a bid.
And I appreciate, Don, the comment that both bidders are okay, have done work for us in the past. But in this particular case, I don't believe we should award for making a mistake, and I think we should award, based on doing everything that we asked the bidder to do. And so I would make a motion and ask for a second to,
We already got a
You
motion
have a
on the
motion.
floor,
Oh.
so that's what I was gonna ask Mr. Petticord.
so I
If we
would
can-
make, if you'd have let me finish,
Oh, okay.
I think I had this one.
Okay, good. I never interrupt you ever, Jeff.
When we call for the vote, I will be voting no on the resolution that's on the table,
Correct.
okay?
Which is probably the more appropriate path to take, and then can we revisit this resolution?
Then you can then whoever has the floor can make a motion to move to Garza as
If that's
the
the second
lowest
lowest bid, I figured they're here,
compliant
they gotta be,
bidder.
but, you know.
So
Okay.
my suggestion would be, based on what Jeff has said, when the call for the vote, that you guys express that you're voting no because you find the bid non-compliant.
Right, okay.
And then you can put another motion up if you want, from the floor. Make sense?
I just gave you a heads up how I'm voting, that's all. Teresa, can we call the vote?
Sure. Commissioner Moore,
I'm gonna be voting no based on the bid's non-compliance.
Commissioner Riddell,
No.
Commissioner Hung.
No, based on the bid's non-compliance.
Mr. President, would you like to revisit number 22?
I
Do
would.
you have a new motion based on the vote on number 22? We're not revisiting that because that was
Oh,
the
we're not
bylaw.
revisiting it?
So this would be
Okay.
a new motion, because he holds the floor, to
Okay.
accept the lowest and most compliant bidder, which is Garza.
Yes.
Okay.
I would move that
You follow,
we,
Teresa? You good? You know what I'm doing?
I'm good. Do you want me to read the new, what it would be?
Yeah, I think it'd be more appropriate if you did.
You
don't
want to amend
think,
the agenda
Mr.
to
Petticord?
include
Yeah, I
Sure.
was gonna say we should amend the agenda to include it.
Did you want to make that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell.
aye.
Okay, so you want me to read the new one?
Mm-hmm.
In the matter of awarding contract to Garza Dirt Works. I'm not sure where they're from. Where
Where are you from?
Clyde, okay, sorry. Clyde, Ohio, in the amount not to exceed $1,525,000 for their Kellner Ditch Restoration Drainage Improvement Project, and, which will be paid from the stormwater account.
As being the
So moved.
most compliant
Second.
bid.
Discussion.
Okay, now, is that sufficient enough for you to move forward with this project, Don? The way we just read the motion? I think so, right?
Yes, based on what I heard, I can start sending
Yeah,
the
you just-
contracts
you're just
around.
accepting the next
I know,
bid.
we're just, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't say
Okay.
next bidder, we mentioned the company's
Right.
name without
My only
saying.
Is the number right, counsel? Okay.
And Don, they were the second,
Yes.
okay, I just wanna make sure we're all on record for, oh, you got that? Okay.
Well, it's, I just kind
You
of
have it in
changed
your
it
packet,
from
too.
Yeah,
the,
okay.
Oh, you guys
when we
already
had
did.
it.
What was number three? How much difference? Another 100?
Another 100.
So
Another
number
100.
third was another 100 higher than that, okay.
Any further discussion? Commissioner Moore,
Aye?
Commissioner Riddell,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Anybody else besides Mr. Garza and I know where Clyde is?
I do, I've been
do.
there.
All right. Thank you for your patience. I'm sure this was a very, nervous situation for you.
Nope, I appreciate you coming in and being professional and educating us, so
Yes.
thank you.
And for not jumping out of your seat when you weren't sure where we were going.
If you guys wanna go, since you've already, you've probably got some work to do, that's okay. You're not gonna interrupt us, so.
Go save those bats.
Well, no, I know he's paying hourly rate right now, so I'm trying to save the guy some money. Well, thank you for coming in.
Now get it done.
Yeah. Yeah, Merry Christmas. What'd he say? What, Karen?
Karen said no change orders.
Oh,
Karen, you haven't changed in 15 years, man. It just-
The resolution does not state that either, so.
oh, we should have did that, huh?
But anyways, number 23. You ready?
Uh-huh.
Number 23, receive and set a hearing for Coal Ditch Extension, Pittsfield Township, in accordance with Ohio Revised Code 6117. This is to remove sediment and reshape the sides of the ditch and removal of some woody debris. This will begin under the culvert under West Road, south of State Route 303, and run northeasterly direction under State Route 303 through a residential lot in farm field, approximately 2,400 linear feet. This hearing will be held on Tuesday, January 21st at 4:30 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Dell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Under Common Pleas 24, authorize Lorain County's Court of Common Pleas General Division judges and staff to utilize the county's Lorain issued Visa credit card not to exceed $7,500 per court in administrator's office. This is in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code and their permissible policy, or until such time is revoked by the financial institution and or modified by the authority granting approval.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Under the engineer, 25, approve and enter in a contract with Greenman Peterson, Inc. in the amount of $123,106 to provide construction administration and inspection services for the LOR CR 204304 project in Elyria Township. ODOT District 3 has reviewed and will provide 80%, and 20% will be provided by a grant from OPWC.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Dell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
County Administrators.
Morning, Commissioners. Just a couple of quick updates for you. I had an opportunity to attend the Security Committee meeting at the Justice Center yesterday. Sheriff-elect Hall was a part of that meeting. And based on the comments and discussions that we had, I do anticipate probably some changes with regards to security for next year. Sheriff-elect Hall was very much involved and has committed to providing the best security that he can for the county building, specifically the Justice Center. So also, we're getting really close to the 6-month implementation of our microtransit pilot program. So I did have an opportunity to sit down with our vendor VIA and also the City of Lorain, Mayor Bradley, in order to discuss some of the ways that we can continue our microtransit program after July of this year. VIA's putting together some statistics and gathering some comments. We're going to do some surveying as far as possibly looking into how we can fund it and move it on into the future. So I anticipate probably before the end of January, I will have VIA back here to the board in order to present to you the overwhelmingly successful statistics that we've already gathered to date on that program. It's just phenomenal. The City of Lorain is very well pleased and a very willing partner, and we will be reaching out to try to find other partners, whether it's our local hospital systems, some of the stores that are being frequently visited by our microtransit riders, and also even employers. And that concludes my report.
Well, just to help the public understand what partnerships means, that means financial assistance so that we can continue the program, correct? And my understanding is you're meeting with Mayor Bradley. They were very receptive to financially, they just have, you guys still gotta work out some of the deals, and what you talked to me about after the meeting was very uplifting and positive, that other organizations are willing to participate, and we're just trying to fine tune how much money that's gonna take so that we may continue. At the same time, talking to the feds and the state and how much of that money we can now use to show the success that we've had, to show some of the failures of our fixed base operations, and slowly integrate this, hopefully, to a very long-term successful program.
Yes, very much
Okay.
so. And what I'm trying to focus on the county on is we are a Lorain County Transit.
Right.
We're not a Lorain City or a Elyria City Transit.
Correct.
So I want to be able to reserve some of our grant dollars so that we can spread microtransit throughout the county. So we're going to look at the demographics, find out where the service would be best suited, in other areas of the county and try to use those grant funds throughout all of the county instead of just, centrally located in Elyria and Lorain.
We're still gonna have Dial-A-Ride, we're still gonna have
Oh,
these
yeah,
other
yeah,
programs.
absolutely,
so.
absolutely. And I was, I guess, surprised that the actual cost, that the county is paying for every rider to ride via is $18. It's a little under $18. So the actual person riding is only contributing $2 towards that cost. So that's what we have to find the difference between that $18 and $2. That's what we're asking our partners to
But
help us with.
We're still cheaper than the national average. I think it's $27 or $28, I think was per ride, wasn't the national?
I think actually our fixed
Yeah,
our fixed bus ride
Is that
is $28.
$28, yeah.
Yeah. So the microtransit is just under 18
Okay.
per rider.
Government efficiency coming down.
So
All right.
there you go.
Well, thank you for doing that.
Thank you, sir.
If we can solve this transportation problem, we're superheroes.
That's your superhero power? Okay.
I'm not sure I have that kind of superhero power.
I'm bringing Mr. Armbruster along with me with regards to public transit, so he's not really been a supporter.
I just hate to see our buses running around with nobody on them, and unfortunately, but that's what the cards we've been dealt, and I think that VIA has really worked very well. Let's see if we can't grow it and make it work for all the communities in Lorain County.
Another tidbit on that, I'm sorry, is I'm so excited, now I have two microphones. But the success of microtransit has increased ridership on our fixed buses, our fixed route buses. So, and they feed off of one another. So, I know you look like you don't believe me, but it's true.
I'm not a math guy, as we all know. But that's-
It goes between Lorain and Elyria. So you have more people moving that need the ride. So,
Get off and get the bus.
right, okay.
So as put on the billboard and actually sounded off by all of us, 7 of us from the 6119 Regional Sewer District went down to the Department of Development this past Wednesday. And actually, we had 1 hour to make a presentation. We were about 5 minutes into the presentation, and question after question came out. And one of the listeners said, can we get to the bottom line? And I basically said, no. We're going to go through the presentation. We've spent about $600,000 to get to this place. Let's see, because we have a plan for Lorain County. We're not just coming in here and asking for money from the All Ohio Future Fund. We actually have a plan. We thought this out. We are ready to move forward, but we need financial help from the All Ohio Future Fund. And quite honestly, multiple staff members, including the chief in charge, the director, asked questions in which we had answers. Now, the only answer that we did not have is they asked us to include the geographical area, the size of the pipe, which we know, and we weren't done completely with the modeling anyway as to what size that 40-inch pipe, 48-inch pipe, is that right, Sean? Is it 48 inches? Is to what part, how much more area can be served by that, including the mega sites, if there was a mega site that came into it. And they asked us to provide that information to them, and they would be making their decision. We showed them all the graphs, and I believe that we came away very well received, and quite honestly, I would say probably the most prepared to ask for the All Ohio Future Fund, because we had our lawyers, we had our Raftellus, our rate people, we had Avon Lake there, we had Lorco there, Karen, myself, and Jacob from the prosecutor's office, so we could answer all the questions firsthand to everything that they had. And we plan on getting back to them over Christmas, or actually the first week of January, with this additional information that they have provided. And quite honestly, I'm looking forward to positive results. And what we asked for was that $80 million that was the original request. And who knows, maybe they'll decide we had the best plan in the whole state of Ohio, and they'll give it all to us. I'll be positive, so I'll end with that.
Thank
That
you.
completes my report. Oh, not really, but I thank all the employees out there, quite honestly, that have supported the commissioners, that have supported all the elected officials for their efforts in 2024. And really, we're eager to move to 2025 and work through whatever curveball someone sends to you, health-wise or work-wise. So let's work hard, and I know we will, and thank God I've got Karen next to me. She does all the work.
I'll
That
remember
complete-
that when we talk about 25 salary for you.
All right.
Monday,
Clerk's report?
Monday, January 13th will be our organizational meeting at 9:30. Also that day will be TID meeting at 11:30. Tuesday, January 14th at 4:30 will be our stormwater meeting. Thursday, January 16th at 10 a.m. will be our land bank meeting. And Friday, January 17th at 9:30 will be a commissioners meeting. And the IRS mileage reimbursement for 25 will be 67 cents. Board correspondence.
Move to waive the reading of the board correspondence.
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Is there any new business?
Yes. As has been past practice, when the board, when people make public comment and there's questions, we don't really like to get into a conversation. The 2 minutes is for people presenting their questions and their concerns. But in the particular case of this morning, I want to take advantage of the opportunity to call it new business. But the question was raised about the budgeting for lawsuits, and that's always been a very hot topic for the media when we're engaged in a lawsuit from somebody. And the answer to the question is there's no way to properly budget for lawsuits because, first of all, we're not the protagonist. We're not the ones doing the suing, so we don't really have a way of knowing, what the expectation of another party is. We do expense the salaries and we expense the legal fees and so forth, people involved. However, since the outcome of the lawsuit is not known at the time we budget, and the actual appropriations that we passed today, that we unveiled on Tuesday, those are the everyday reoccurring operating costs of the various departments. And a lawsuit settlement is an unknown quantity. It's an unknown entity, so there's no way to budget for that. But to the answer to those that are concerned about it, yes, the cash balance and the carry forward and the balance sheet of the county would have to absorb any award that would come against the county. So again, there's money available for that. We just hope we don't have to use it. The second question was, we did not pay a prepayment penalty for an investment or a pre-cashing in. $100,000 that we paid at the last meeting was to terminate a contract with a vendor for prescriptions for our healthcare plan. There was a termination clause in it that if we terminated it early, in order to pay for getting the data to the new vendor, and that $100,000 does that. And it's a very, while we always hate to pay to get our own stuff back, it's a necessary evil of contracts. But the reward is that we were able to save over $4 million with the new prescription vendor to get our employees and the people that are families that are covered in our hospitalization, we're able to give them the same prescription care, as we would have only for $4 million less. So, as we promised in at the end of 23, we said we were going to go to market for the components in our hospitalization plan. We went to market. We renewed with three of the pieces that we had at that time. The fourth one, we made a switch, and it was a major benefit. It was over $4 million, and the cost was $100,000, and I'll take those deals every day of the week. So that was what I had for new business. If there were other questions that were raised that didn't get answered, just contact the commissioners, and it's public information. We'll try and get that answer with whoever we have to get it from. Any other items of new business for the board?
We're on public comment then.
Public comment. Michael, would you like to go first? That's Brian.
Which one do you think he said?
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, there you go. Nice shirt.
Look at that shirt.
Nice shirt.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Michael DiCarlo, 320 Alberta Vermillion. Ms. Hung, thanks for your service over your term here. Appreciate you doing, this is a tough job to do and everything, but appreciate your service to your term. Mr. President, no man is an island, and we're either stock being held or holders of stock. Told you I was earlier the year in a nuclear powered submarine. It was a fast attack submarine, SSN. Subsurface nuclear is what it stands for, but in reality, it stands for Saturdays, Sundays, and nights. Okay? If you do any research on fast attack submarines, they're really extremely capable intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance platforms. I could reference the video from the Institute for Justice last meeting, and I didn't try to get the title correct. The correct title is Creepy AI-Powered Cams in 5,000 Cities and Counting. That's the title. Now, the guy that wrote Tom Sawyer is a humorist, Samuel Clemens. He used to do a lot of political jokes, right? There's one that I find, and it's once you find yourself in the majority, continuously pause, reflect. Just because everybody else is doing it doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. After I left the submarine, I went and did a recruiting tour in Arizona, where I ended up living before I moved here. And then I went to Connecticut, was the Chief Master at Arms of Naval Submarine Support Center, New London. So I was the top cop for the lower submarine base where all the stuff was at. That's my experience, my point of view. That's why I come at you at the different angles that you probably never thought somebody would be up here talking to you about. Other than that, everybody, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Festivus, Happy whatever. Happy your faith, non-faith, I don't care. Because this is America, and freedom of religion also means freedom from religion. And we got to respect each other and love each other, no matter what.
Thank you, Michael.
6119, I look forward to the progress you're going to make.
Yep.
And
Thank
I
you.
wore their shirt for, let's wait till next year.
Merry Christmas, Mike. Wow, he did under 2 minutes.
And he finished under budget.
Time budget,
Just
Mike.
real quick, thank you
Brian.
very much for the time. Just so you know, I have the numbers from the treasurer. So you don't ever come to this podium and ask a question. You guys are off by like $500,000, but it breaks it down. But what I'd say to the public is, we're going through a budget process here that people don't even know what they're spending in this county. We're gonna go back, you're probably gonna ask for a jail tax, or you're gonna do something. I wouldn't vote for nothing if no one didn't show me all this information. I don't agree with the prosecutor's opinion that you followed the budget process. I guess we'll wait for the new prosecutor to come in. We'll sit down with them and we'll see what happens going forward. But I would say is, information is power. And I don't think that that's it. And we talk about transparency, Jeff, and I don't know that I agree. Me and you don't have the same opinion on transparency. So with that, I would just say thank you for letting me come to the mic. Wish everybody a happy holidays. Commissioner Hung, I know this is your last meeting. I would say we haven't agreed on everything. We haven't disagreed on everything, but you've been approachable and very good to work with. So I thank you for that time. Dave, I just asked one question. October the 8th, we were at Pittsfield, and we did a candidates night. And you said you were gonna go back to the Budget Commission, I think, and maybe I hope I have the right thing. And you were gonna see if we could take a 1-year leave of collecting the new appraised values on the taxes. Was that ever followed through?
Yeah, what happened was that went to the Budget Commission.
So do we have a letter or anything? Do we have a letter? Can I get anything? Was that in writing or was it just a verbal
That
proposal?
was all verbal, going back and forth.
Okay, because I know that at the
Oh,
township trustees.
trust me, I was upset
Well,
on
at
the
the
8th.
township trustees, it's still in there. You were supposed to come back that following
Yeah.
meeting and update them, and you weren't
Yeah.
there, so,
Yeah.
okay? Thank you guys and have a good holiday.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian. Merry Christmas, Brian. He went under budget too on that time, so.
So that completes the business of the county for today. That's our last meeting for the year unless there's a crisis, which we always hope there isn't. Merry Christmas, have a safe New Year's, and we'll see you on January the 13th.
Meeting adjourned.
What? Oh, this is what they gave, I'm not gonna show it, oh.
Did you adjourn?